Hi, I'm Justin Kogo. I was born in Oakland, California in 1984. It's May 2020 now. In 1995, I was getting good grades. I was in extracurricular activities, and we were having a little uncomfortable conversation at home, but it wasn't happening anywhere outside of our private space at home or our private space in the hotel room. We were just talking at home, not doing anything. I didn't know anything about fighting random people or anything like that. I didn't really even start a random conversation outside. My mom was just asking me something, so I responded to her. So I just might have got a little bit uncomfortable here and there, but nothing crazy. And I definitely wasn't starting anything. I would just be the one reacting, and you know, just your normal family thing where you and then we went to the therapist and we successfully were able to have conversations. So we were able to have conversations. I was able to talk to my classmates in school, and we were able to talk at home. But here and there we had an uncomfortable conversation, and then we went to our therapist and talked about it. We saw the Sally Show on TV. Said, "Hey, let's go talk on the Sally Show." And we weren't even talking with anybody else outside at home, let alone starting a fight. So they said, let's go talk on a Sally Show. So we went to the Sally Show to talk. And we might have had a little uncomfortable conversation in private, but we weren't having anything more than that. And we were definitely weren't starting fights or arguments or anything like that. And definitely weren't starting anything with any random person. So on the Sally Show in New York City, and this is in 1995, on the Sally Show in New York City, the Sally Show didn't want to talk to us or get to know us. The Sally Show told me, and I was 11 years old, okay, little kids, go behind your mom's back and go inside the TV studio and act bad in there. And they let us walk through the studio after telling us to act bad behind our mom's backs as little kids. The Sally Show walked us outside the TV studio, outside of the television studio, and the Sally Show told us, okay, little kids, we want you to do something bad for the TV camera. And then the Sally Show filmed us after telling us to act bad for the camera on the streets. The Sally Show then offered us cigarettes from the liquor store. The Sally Show did those things, left us like that. And a big fight happened between me and a group of audience members. We were only having a little uncomfortable conversation to ourselves in private, me at 11 years old and my mom. We weren't even talking to our next door neighbors, and we weren't starting anything with anybody else, and we weren't really having any fights or arguments with anybody. So we weren't having any fights or arguments, and we weren't even really talking with anybody besides ourselves in private. And we definitely weren't starting anything bad with anybody else. We were able to talk. I was able to talk in school. I was able to talk at home. I was able to talk to a counselor. On the Sally Raphael show, the Sally show, the Sally Show didn't get to know me, and the Sally Show said, "Little kids, we want you to go and act bad behind your mama's back in the TV studio. Little kids, we want you to act bad for the camera on the streets outside the studio. And little kids, do you guys want some cigarettes from the liquor store offered outside to us?" The Sailor Show told us little kids to be bad multiple times. I was only having a little uncomfortable conversation in private with my mom, nothing more than that. And the Sailor Show told us little kids to act bad multiple times inside the television studio full of adults and cameras. And then the Sailor Show let a big fight happen between me as a little kid, a group of adults. When I came home, I got beat up in public multiple times, harassed, specifically for the Sally Show, and I couldn't ever survive school ever again. I could barely take learning anything new. Couldn't really talk to anybody, and sometimes couldn't make it to class. I had to turn around and go home. I couldn't make it to class. The Sally Show never said sorry or explained herself. Then Michael Bolden showed up at that time, and he was in the entertainment industry, and he wanted to be friends, be polite, but he wanted to do like entertainment things, talk about entertainment, talk about a movie, talk about a song, dance, sing in his car, be flamboyant like that. But he didn't really want to have kind of been there to get to know what are we doing at this time at home or at school. He more wanted to say, God, it's kind of like a party. Let's go out and hang out, like he's on tour driving around Oakland. So Michael promoted more entertainment, and who knows exactly what he knew, but he promoted more entertainment, which helped to cover up for the bad that the Sally Show did to us. That's what led us sitting at home for the rest of our lives, not able to wonder why we're getting beat up and can't go to school. we changed identities. And then moving to Oregon years later, after Michael made fun of my family, his family in Oregon made fun of me, and others kind of made fun of me for being different. Was a whole new identity in Oregon. That's the Sally Show, Michael Bolden's fault. Having multiple identities. That's the Sally Show and Michael Bolton's fault for giving us multiple identities like that. And those are the bad things. Those are the bad things that they did to us. And we're uncomfortable as hell 25 years later still. We didn't get to talk about that with our family at all back then. We had to move forward, change identities. So yeah, get sick that we didn't get to talk as a family about those things that happened to us. We had to sit at home for years and change identities. And I'm here 25 years later at my family's house in California, and we've had I couldn't remember my childhood memories. And we're uncomfortable as hell. We are we are uncomfortable as hell. And that's what the Salas Raphael show did to us. The Sally Show left us like that. And we move forward in life. We move forward in life. Riding the elevator down at Pat's house, we had no justice for the things that happened to us. And we move forward in life. And my mom said, "Go to school, do good, do." Luckily, my mom's just a really good person. Gonna go walk around the block now, and gonna go walk around. Just don't touch it. It could be nasty. Gonna go walk around the block now. You might say, "Oh God, I don't think it's okay to talk about what bad that's how the show would have done." And for people, I think, yeah, thank God my mom, parents and grandparents, oh, doing good all those years. So it's just, if you could do that. He said, since it's a long story, they understand. But don't get too crazy, because if you move forward, right, he says just go take care of little parts of it. And that's what happened. The Sally Show did that. And there's no real sign of it. But there's lots of quiet around. It's really quiet outside. And yeah, we were just fine. We were just fine. And I guess it's gonna get kind of scared. How can you figure that out? Sally's show screwed up. Took us from having an uncomfortable conversation it took us from having an uncomfortable conversation in private, amongst ourselves, our family, but nothing more than that, to go and be bad in multiple ways inside of the television studio in there. And that would have what? I sat at home. I sat at home for eons. And eventually got me in front of him. My mom did good. My mom told me to go. My mom told me to go to work, go to school. What do you don't sit at home? My mom did good. So those are the things they did. Stacy's not shaking. My mom can see. If it's annoying, I'm buying my mom stuff. So that's what happened. And that happened in 1985. The Satellite Show in 1995 told me to act bad and act bad for the camera and play with cigarettes. I was getting good grades in extracurricular activities, sports and stuff, and looking forward to socializing. And I was only reacting to my mom at home, but I wasn't going up to random people I didn't know and starting fights. I wasn't even talking to my next door neighbor. And random people you don't know aren't coming up to you and starting anything. So, yeah, it would only be it would only be my mom could see. She said to do good, go to school, go to work, don't party. My mom could see that we were doing. She said to do good all the time. The Sally Show took us. I wasn't even I wasn't even starting a conversation. And as I wasn't even starting a conversation, oh, yeah, I wasn't even starting a conversation with anyone. I was just reacting to my mom. And I wasn't starting any fights or arguments with people. So there'd be no reason to fight a crowd of people you don't know unless they did something first. And what did they do? On Sally, they started saying, oh, okay, we got Justin. He's bad. All right, and he's the worst kid ever. So these guys are upset and ready to interrogate you. And they're doing that, but they're not talking to me first. So they're saying, oh, we got the worst kid. Wait a second. I'm not the worst kid. I'm getting good grades. I'm in extracurricular activities. So I'm not the worst kid. Sally Raphael said, you're the worst kid. This dumb bitch was lying. She said, I'm the worst kid. But I was like playing sports after school, getting good grades. I ain't the fucking worst kid. This dumb white bitch was lying. She said, we got the worst kid ever here. And I was getting good grades in extracurricular activities, and I wasn't starting any fights or arguments. And just because someone's describing you and saying, oh, we got a bad kid here, doesn't mean you got to go have a fight. And then the Sally show. And then the Sally show told me, but right before going on stage, the Sally show said, kids, we want you to go inside and start acting bad. And as the Sally show said, as the Sally show said to start acting bad, I would only be reacting to my mom, not starting any bad, and we'd be having an uncomfortable conversation. But I'm not going and starting a fight or argument. I'm not even going and having that conversation outside of our private space. So I'm not starting the fight or argument. Others would have to get upset about something, and then, or I might respond, but I wasn't going and just, I wasn't the starter of the fight or argument. And the uncomfortable conversation is all it was. And that uncomfortable conversation was to us. That uncomfortable conversation was to us in private. And as that uncomfortable conversation was to us in private, we weren't, I wasn't starting any conversation with anybody else. And I wasn't starting any fight. I wasn't starting any fight or argument with anybody. I'd be the innocent variable. You'd have to come up to me and start being all mean and angry to me, and then maybe it might make me upset. But I'm not going and saying, oh, yo, let me go start the fight. It'd be other people. On the Sally show, told me, go and start acting bad in the television studio. And the Sally Show said, go and start acting bad outside of the TV studio. And go play with cigarettes from the liquor store. And the Sally Show did that.
Hello?
It's Justin. And the Sally Show did that. The Sally Show did that. It took us from me not starting any fight or argument, and me not starting any fight or argument. And the Sally Show took me, the innocent variable, not starting any fights or arguments. The Sally Show took me, the innocent variable, not starting any fight or argument. Oh, go ahead. The Sally Show.
Like half a day.
The Sally Show took me,
For when I go walking.
innocent variable, not starting any fight or argument. And they took me and said, go and start acting bad inside the studio. We might have had an uncomfortable conversation at home in private. And I wasn't the starter of any argument or fight or conversation. And the Sally Show told me to start acting bad inside our television studio. Well, I wasn't the fight or argument starter. The Sally Show said to start acting bad inside the television studio. Right? I was going in places, and I was not starting anything. Others were to have started something. So, what was I? I was normal. I wasn't starting any fight or argument or anything bad. And the Sally Show told me to act bad in multiple ways inside our TV studio. When I was only being asked questions and responding to my mom, but we're only I'm not starting anything, and it was kind of an isolated incident happening in private at home or in private in the hotel, meaning I'm not walking into random places and starting fights and arguments. The Sally Show tells me at 11 years old, start acting bad inside our television studio full of adults, and start acting bad for the camera outside the TV studio, and play with cigarettes from the liquor store, and lets it all hang out, doesn't say sorry, and they don't explain